Chapter 3. The Palaveran Dust Devil Story Told as It Was. Laurvelle woke up in the middle of the night and felt that it would be impossible to go back to sleep. In fact, he felt he was better off getting up and grabbing a coffee rather than trying to go back to sleep. This was the fourth time in a row that this had happened to him, and the panic of the situation had long since dried up. And so Laurvelle got dressed, found his favorite jacket, and exited his apartment, heading toward the elevator that led down to the lobby. An elderly woman was sitting in the common room, watching television but also paying attention to the opening and closing of doors. You're up late, Laurvelle. I can't sleep again. And you believe that getting a coffee will make it easier? No, of course not. But I might find work. The woman shrugged and went back to watching TV. Do as you wish, Laurvelle. You're always on top of everything, so I won't question your hopes for work. Not like you've ever missed a rent payment anyway. Laurvelle entered the elevator and pressed a button labeled P, and then watched as the doors closed and the floor indicator slowly moved from the highest floor to the lowest, eventually reaching an underground parking garage. The doors opened up, and Laurvelle saw a tall man with a pair of ram horns and a spiky jacket with flames on his shoulders. Laurvelle nodded and slowly moved past the man. Evening, Gregoris. Evening, Laurvelle. Movie night at the library was banging tonight. You should have been there. They played a classic, Dream Notes. I'm sure you would have enjoyed it. Well, thanks for thinking about me, Gregoris, but I'm not feeling it tonight. Actually, I'm thinking of heading over to Astro Coffee and seeing Varlo. Maybe he has work for me. Gregoris shrugged. I don't know what kind of freelance work you can find at a coffee shop, but hey, you know more about it than me. Laurvelle smiled and waved goodbye as the elevator's doors closed again and Gregoris left for his own apartment. Alright, now to remember where I parked my car. Laurvelle's car was a navy blue van, an 1896 Crawlob Sailor, known for its plain design and spacious interior. Laurvelle had purchased it a few months ago after returning to his job at the Palavera City Hunters following a tragic accident. The mothership, as Laurvelle referred to his van, was parked in the far corner of the garage, hidden in one of the few spots that didn't receive any light from the lamps. He unlocked the rear door and stepped into his mobile office, seeing that everything was exactly where he had left it before taking a short break. There was a small desk bolted to the vehicle's frame, along with a bed frame that was raised so it was leaning on the interior wall in order to increase available space. And finally, there was the little door that led to the front, which was Laurvelle's preferred way to enter the driver's seat, as it meant he could keep the front doors barred shut. As Laurvelle got back into the driver's seat, he suddenly found himself back in the Palavera Desert, driving toward an anomaly. His predecessor, Desser, was sitting beside him, looking up at the sky. Laurvelle, what do you believe in? What do you mean? Look around us. Look at the very thing we do for a living. Reality bends to our beliefs and wishes all the time, doesn't it? I guess so, yeah. For example, take your foot off the gas. Okay, but what? Just take your foot off the gas. Laurvelle did as his mentor instructed, and Desert smiled. Now, watch as we begin to fly in the air. How exactly are we? Laurvelle looked forward, and sure enough, the car was moving faster than before, and a translucent, lavender-colored road appeared beneath the vehicle, taking them into the sky. It's still new to me, Desser. We believe in something, and it becomes reality. That is correct. But how is it possible? Well, it's a mystery that I've yet to figure out, Laurvelle. Can it be figured out? I'm sure it can, yes. And in fact, I know exactly how to figure it out. Desser reached behind her seat and pulled out a flare, holding it outside of her window and calmly lighting it. Laurvelle watched, the car no longer in his control anyway. What are you doing? Sticking to my plan, Laurvelle. And what exactly is your plan? Abstraction. What? The translucent road disappeared, and Laurvelle watched in horror as the car dove back down, crashing into a jagged rock on the side of the road. Everything around Laurvelle went black for what seemed to him as an eternity, and then his vision slowly returned to him. He was laying on the ground, his leg broken and severely disoriented, but miraculously alive. Desser was kneeling beside him, panting heavily as she stared at a piece of shrapnel from the car, which had embedded itself into her abdomen. Don't worry, Laurvelle. The desert sweepers will find you. I don't understand. Why did you... Desser ignored Laurvelle's response and pointed up at the night sky, reaching for something. You remember that I said you can pull some things out of the sky? From the world beyond the stars? Well, you can put stuff in there as well, kind of like storage. Desser pulled out a first aid kit and opened it, using it to cover up some of Laurvelle's wounds. Consider this my last gift for you, Laurvelle. This and the company. It's yours now. But why? Because I have somewhere to be, Laurvelle. So, this is my last assignment for you. Find your apprentice, teach them what they need to know about cryptid hunting, and they'll figure it out, just like I have. Desser fell to the ground and lay down beside Laurvelle, staring at the sky. It's beautiful, isn't it? The stars? No. The darkness behind them, the world beyond the stars. It's speaking to us, you know? It knows something that we don't, not yet. I'm going there. None of this made sense to Laurvelle, who soon passed out again, and suddenly he was back in the parking garage, back in the present day. Right, I should go to Astro Coffee. The drive to Astro Coffee was a short one, consisting of driving south for a mile, and then getting off the main road and parking in the little lot beside the coffee shop. The coffee shop looked just like a flying saucer, although some of the patrons insisted that it really was a flying saucer, only it had been retrofitted with the necessary hardware to function as a coffee shop. It didn't help that the owner, a man named Varlo, was always there, serving coffee in his 24/7 coffee shop, and nobody had ever seen him leave. Nor had they seen any other employee. Evening, Master Laurvelle. Evening, Varlo. Can I get a coffee and a scone? Of course. Anything for a Palavera City hunter. Thanks. You got any news for me? As a matter of fact, I do. There's a dust devil in the desert projected to collide with a transit bus in about an hour. If you take your coffee and scone to go, you'll reach it just before it reaches the bus. What do you say? Laurvelle paused for a moment and then slowly nodded. Sounds like a plan. Good. Was packing your things to go anyway. Best of luck, Laurvelle, and don't get hurt out there. Not again. Before getting back to the driver's seat, Laurvelle opened his laptop and mounted it onto the van's mobile office desk, turning it on and booting up a database of cryptids over history. There was a button on the program interface titled Voice Assistant, which Laurvelle tapped on just after plugging a cable into the laptop, connecting it to the monitor, peripherals, and the van's stereo system. As Laurvelle got back into the driver's seat and began to put the coffee in the cup holder, a little screen on the dashboard turned on, showing a robotic face. Good morning, Laurvelle. Evening, Marimelia. What can I do for you tonight? Laurvelle started the engine and began to pull out of the little parking lot in front of Astro Coffee. I need directions to the Palavera Desert, and I need a data report on dust devils. Marimelia thought for a moment and smiled, revealing what appeared to be a speaker hiding where her mouth was supposed to be. I see one report of a dust devil tonight located in the Palavera Desert and headed towards Route 96. There's a projected risk of 25 casualties, all of them located in a bus. That's the one. Understood. Prepping the coordinates for you now. Just sit tight and I'll take care of the driving for you. How are you feeling? World weary, I guess. Still not fully back after what happened with Desser. These things happen, Laurvelle. We can't prevent every single tragedy we come across. But we can learn to move on and be better. And right now, you're being better by taking on a cryptid bounty. Speaking of which, I found some information on dust devils. They were first manifested by a child in a 3rd grade classroom who was learning about dust devils, but didn't pay enough attention in class. As such, the child heard the name and believed it to be a literal devil that resides in the desert, rather than a dust cyclone that can form as a result of clashing winds. Dust devils are known to be mischievous, but relatively harmless, provided that they don't feel threatened or in danger. If they sense danger, dust devils will attack with a combination of dust clouds and pyrotechnics. Why pyrotechnics? The child thought all devils can summon forth flames. Oh, I see. Would a dust devil consider a bus to be threatening? Considering the size of a transit bus, it's safe to say that it would indeed feel threatened by a bus. For this reason, it is imperative that we intercept the dust devil before it reaches the bus. The van drove past the dimly lit street and toward the city outskirts, and Laurvelle could see the buildings slowly change to more industrial structures. What is a dust devil vulnerable to? Dust devils can be damaged by typical weaponry, including your pistol, but are more vulnerable to holy weaponry, such as a cross or sword made for a Templar knight. Unfortunately, you currently do not possess any holy weapons. But I'll still be fine, right? Yes, you will be fine as long as you strike when the Dust Devil is distracted. Good, thank you. Laurvelle sipped his coffee and took a bite of the scone. It was chocolate chip, and Laurvelle immediately recognized it as being the recipe that Desert had requested from Varlo when they first went to Astro Coffee together. Hey, Marimelia? Yes? Can you bring up the police report on the Palavera Desert incident? Of course, Laurvelle. What would you like to know about the report? What did the police find? They discovered Desert's crashed vehicle, but no bodies. What do you mean? As you already know, the Desert Sweepers found and rescued you, taking you to their headquarters within Palavera City. However, the police never found Desert's body. How is that possible? She had planned it, didn't she? Unfortunately, her vehicle's version of me, the Marimelia AI, was never recovered, and therefore the black box wasn't recovered either. As you know, cryptid hunting vehicles include both the Palavera City cryptid database and a virtual black box. However, Desert's vehicle had the database disconnected from the network before the crash happened, likely part of her plan. The police report then continues with a detailed report of what was found inside the vehicle, but there is no mention of a computer of any kind, meaning that wherever Desert went or was taken to, the computer went with her as well. Marimelia, yes? Do you mean to tell me she's alive? It's hard to say with what we have, Laurvelle. I'm afraid that if you want to figure that out for yourself, you'll need to return to the scene of the accident and investigate for yourself. But right now, we must focus on the task at hand, taking down the Dust Devil. Are we almost there? Yes. In fact, it should be a quarter mile from us, visible in the far left edge of the horizon. Laurvelle sipped his coffee and looked up, his eyes widening as he saw the creature. I see it, Marimelia. What's the light off toward the center horizon? I'm afraid that's a bus, Laurvelle. Can you speed up? Affirmative. Please keep your seatbelt on while we speed. Laurvelle put his coffee back in the cup holder and grabbed his steering wheel for support, feeling the vehicle speed up and approach the Dust Devil. He noticed that the bus had stopped already, likely the driver had seen the Dust Devil, and stopped the bus in order to lower the risk of intimidating the creature. Marimelia, patch me into the bus audio. Connecting you to the bus audio network. Give me a sec. You'll hear the interior for a few seconds before you can speak to the people inside. Got it. The stereo had a bit of static interference for a moment, and then Laurvelle could hear a conversation happening inside the bus, likely between the driver and one of the passengers. How do you know I'm looking for something there? Most young men are, sir. You don't have much luggage with you, which means either you have a home there, or you're trying to start one up for yourself. You haven't called anybody or even looked at your phone during this entire drive, which means nobody's looking out for you. And you clearly failed a drip check, so you don't have much money either. So, by the looks of it, you're alone, looking for an opportunity for a better life. And I don't blame you, kid. Palavera is a great place to look for that. There's nothing for me in Vilka, that's all. Small town that chokes inspiration and creativity. So I had to get away and find a better place to breathe in. But I didn't think I was failing a drip check. You are, kid. But you'll find a better sense of fashion in Palavera, especially with all the designers that work and live there. You'll find something. You'll find a lot of things. What's your name, kid? Jackie Fern. Jackie's a nice name. It's a nice city name. I'm sure you'll fit right in over at Palavera City. You ever know how the city got its name? No, I don't. Well, it was founded by a group of travelers, and their leader had a dream one night. The dream told him, "Look for the land by the sea, and you shall find a pigeon with a painted skull. It is here that you shall find your home." So they looked for a pigeon with a painted skull, and they found it right there next to the sea. Stories have different explanations on how the pigeon had a painted skull, but the most likely one is that the white sands of the desert got stuck on its head in a skull pattern out of coincidence. But it doesn't matter how it got the skull. What matters is it was found, and Palavera was born. Paloma Calavera City. Palavera City. Simple as that. Nice, but how soon will we be getting there? Hard to say with that thing out there. What exactly is it? Come, see it for yourself. The hell is that thing? I don't know, but they're fairly common nowadays. But somebody always shows up to get rid of it. Look, they're on their way now. Marimelia spoke up as the van continued to move toward the Dust Devil. You have microphone access now, Laurvelle. Laurvelle nodded and grabbed the walkie-talkie connected to the dashboard. Ladies and gentlemen, please stay inside the vehicle while I handle the Dust Devil. As long as the bus is shut off and the lights are off, it won't approach you. In the event that it does, do not leave the bus, and most certainly do not approach it. It only attacks if it feels threatened, and I would like for it to understand that I'm the only threat to it. The van stopped, and Laurvelle reached behind and picked up a toy rifle with the branding on its side labeled as Maxi Powers Automatic Blaster. In the hands of most people, it was just a toy, simply because it was a toy. But for Laurvelle, it was just the firearm he needed. He stepped out of the mothership and walked toward the Dust Devil, shouting to get its attention. Buddy, Buckaroony, Rogus! The Dust Devil was a tall, lanky creature surrounded by a cloud of sand and fire, with its body partially covered, except for its head and a massive pair of horns on top. It roared at Laurvelle, who smiled and kept calling out to it. Howdy, my name's Laurvelle the Magician. I'm from Palavera City. What's your name? The creature roared at Laurvelle, not noticing the bus door behind him slowly open up. Laurvelle didn't notice either. That's a nice name, Mr. What are you doing out here in the desert? Haven't you heard? Even in this season, desert sand feels warm at night. Gotta go to the city and chill for a bit, you know? The door opened even more, and Laurvelle noticed a man his age exit the bus. Settle down over there. I got this. The man pointed at the Dust Devil. What is that thing? Laurvelle shrugged. A Dust Devil. Somebody took the name literally, and now here we are. He jerked his head up, pointing toward the bus. Where are you from? Is that really important right now? Laurvelle kept his eyes fixed on the Dust Devil, but suddenly felt as if he had seen his man before. It's important to me, yeah. The Dust Devil roared again, and the man took a step back. Laurvelle fired at the Dust Devil, a bolt of laser energy flying out of the toy rifle and immediately striking the Devil's head, knocking it to the ground. So where are you from, Jackie? Jackie froze and stared at Laurvelle, his eyes widening. How do you know my name? Laurvelle froze as well, but managed to fire to the Dust Devil again. Perhaps he had made the connection between Jackie's voice right now and over the speakers, but for some reason, Laurvelle felt he already knew the man. More than that, Laurvelle swore he remembered Jackie from somewhere as if they met long ago. But no, that couldn't be possible, not when he had just met Jackie in the middle of nowhere. I heard you say your name to the bus driver when I patched into the bus audio. You also said you're looking for a job? Something like that, yes. Would you like a job with me? I'm a cryptid hunter. We hunt these things and solve anomalies every once in a while. It's not a lot of work, and it pays well. Comes with housing, too. Could be everything you need in a city that you're just arriving at. All right, I'll do it. Let me grab my bag. Yeah, no problem. I'll be in the van. And let the driver know that the creature's been taken care of. I've got to fill out a report, but we don't need any eyewitness reports. Laurvelle returned to the van and unlocked the front passenger door for Jackie. Marimelia, do you have any information on a Jackie Fern? Negative, Laurvelle. Do I have any reason to already know him? Negative. He's one of the bus passengers, yes? Correct. It stands to reason that he's coming to Palavera for the first time. Yes, he said so when speaking with the bus driver. Then why do you feel like you know him? I don't know. I just get this feeling that I've seen him before. Laurvelle watched as Jackie entered the bus. I offered him a job. What are his qualifications? None whatsoever. Is that not risky? Well, it is, but I didn't have any either when I started cryptid hunting. Besides, Desser wanted me to train an apprentice of my own. Perhaps she met Jackie. Do you mean to imply that whatever she planned was related to you meeting Jackie tonight? Because that feels illogical. You feel emotions, Marimelia? I thought you were an AI. We Palaveran AI are just like any other Automi, Laurvelle. Really? What do you know about Automi? Mekalia Automi are... Marimelia stopped mid-sentence, sensing a hidden message in Laurvelle's question. Kind of anger that she needed to avoid. are too complex to be so easily explained. Perhaps some other time I shall better understand them. Perhaps some other time. Did you take down the Dust Devil? I did. Been dispatched, and we can go home once Jackie returns from the bus. Is there any word on what the bounty was? Yes, the bounty was set to 50 monies. Kinda low, don't you think? It's a modest amount. Previous bounties on Dust Devils range from 40 to 75. So, while 50 is on the lower end of that range, it's not the minimum either. The front passenger door opened, and Jackie stepped into the mothership. He was holding a backpack that was overfilled but didn't have luggage of any kind. I'm ready to head out. Laurvelle smiled and began to start the engine, soon noticing that the bus hadn't driven off yet. You told the driver they can leave? I did. He said they're going to check everything to make sure there's no damage to the dashboard screen lit up with a warning from the database. Laurvelle, we have a problem. Palavera weather reports an anomaly coming our way from the east. If we're to make it back home safely, we need to leave right now. This also applies to the bus. Understood. Patch me to the bus audio again. Jackie closed the door and looked out the window, pointing off into the distance. It's a sandstorm, a pretty big one. Wait, do I hear rave music? Laurvelle ignored Jackie and started the engine as soon as he got Marimelia's green light to speak. Ladies and gentlemen, I have received news that there is a rude sandstorm headed out way from the east. Unless you want to be part of the desert exhibit uncovered centuries in the future, I strongly suggest we all get out of here as soon as possible. That is all. Thank you and good night. Without hesitation, the bus engine roared to life and the lights turned back on, and the bus drove off towards the city, with Laurvelle's mothership trailing behind the bus. Marimelia soon took control with autopilot mode, but they weren't safe just yet, as an abnormally loud dust cloud was approaching. Jackie could still hear the music off in the distance, where the sandstorm was coming from, and it began to take over his attention. Why is a sandstorm playing music? Oh, that? It's an anomaly known as a rude sandstorm. Marimelia, bring up the details on rude sandstorms. Got it, Laurvelle. Let's see. Rude sandstorms were first discovered a year ago following a running gag online where people would intentionally misidentify songs. One of their pranksters thought it would be funny if a literal sandstorm was both rude and played the song that was being misidentified, and rude sandstorms soon manifested into reality. They dispersed after half an hour, implying that the person who manifested them was likely thinking of the 30-minute loop of that song. How dangerous are they? The sand is pesky, but relatively harmless. However, being stuck in a rude sandstorm means having to hear that rave song at max volume, which has been known to permanently damage hearing. There's ways to mitigate that damage, but we're better off avoiding the danger altogether, rather than dealing with it. Besides, we'll be safe when we make it back into the city. How do you know we'll be safe? Because Johnny Stone will save us. Who? Just watch, you'll see who Johnny Stone is. Soon, Jackie could see the city outskirts and noticed a large billboard in front of a building. The billboard depicted a fairly handsome, bald man wearing sunglasses and holding his left hand out in the universal symbol for stop. They passed the billboard and entered the city, and then Laurvelle took control of the mothership and pulled over so Jackie could watch. Jackie exited the van and stared at the sandstorm, watching as it came closer and closer, the song becoming louder and more bass-boosted until it seemed to crash into an invisible wall just in front of the billboard. Laurvelle, how exactly is this possible? The same way dust devils and rude sandstorms exist. It's simple, really. Exactly how is this simple? You and Marimelia say that things manifest themselves when people think of them, but wouldn't that mean that as long as I think of something, it becomes reality? Exactly how does that make sense? It's called believer theory, and it makes perfect sense to any Palaveran that bothers to pay attention. It'll take time for you to fully understand, but that's okay. I'll be here to help you figure it out. But for now, we should go home. You need to properly move into your new apartment, and I want to get some sleep. Okay, and then we'll begin training in the morning? Laurvelle gave Jackie a blank look as if he had said something in a foreign language, and then stepped back into the mothership. Yeah, sure. Tomorrow night? Yeah, tomorrow night. Do you not work in the day? Did I just agree to work night shifts? Something like that, but not what you're thinking. Jackie went back into the car, and Marimelia began to drive the mothership back towards home, the Monbella building. Wait, Laurvelle, have you even heard of the day? Marimelia, has Laurvelle ever heard of daytime? No, he has not. You gotta be kidding me. I haven't either. Jackie leaned back in his seat, his soul almost leaving his body as he felt himself die on the inside. I'm working with nocturnal people. A few minutes later, they arrived at the Monbella building and slowly drove into the underground parking garage. Laurvelle was the first to get up and move to the back of the van. Come out this way so we can keep the main doors barred. Barred? What, are you worried about raiders breaking in? In this line of work? You never know what will happen, Jackie. It's better to learn that early on. Remember, check yourself before you wreck yourself. I'll pretend I know what that means. The two men walked over to the elevator, with Laurvelle holding his laptop under his right arm. The door slowly opened, and Gregoris looked up at him and nodded. Evening, Laurvelle. Gregoris, I thought you were done going out for the night. I'm going to Suggs for a drink. You want anything? No, not particularly. Oh, this is Jackie Fern, my new apprentice. Jackie's face went pale as he saw Gregoris, immediately terrified for his life upon seeing the tall, horned man with flames on his shoulders. Gregoris jerked his head back to say hello, and then looked at Laurvelle again. He seems all right. Try not to give him any tough work yet, okay? Of course, Gregoris. And let me know when movie night is happening again. I'm down to join next time. Sounds good. Take care, friend. You as well, Gregoris. Gregoris walked to his car, and Jackie silently rushed into the elevator, hiding behind the array of buttons. Laurvelle chuckled and went inside as well. Coward. How weren't you afraid of that guy? Gregoris? He's a chill dude. One of my closest friends here at the Monbella building. You'll get to know him pretty well, don't worry. That guy scared me. Oh, believe me, he scared him more than he scared you.